Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video, we'll be going through the batters line of BBL SuperCoach for 25-26 and previewing, well, most relevant players. I have put a little bit of a guideline on who I deem as relevant, and I'll sort of go through it. And I've left a couple of the more majority bowler, I would say, in the segment to the bowler section, which we will do tomorrow, or you guys will see tomorrow. But before we jump into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so that you know when I upload, and let's jump into this. So I'm not going to be doing a preview on Matt Short this year as well, or this to start this one, just because of that horrendous schedule that they have. As we look here, Adelaide with the round 7 double, that means that both him and Jamie Overton are rather irrelevant early on. Even though they'll be on singles, their damage will probably be lesser, I would say, as well as most people. I think the damage of having someone like a Matt Short in your side will be really felt by your availability to move cash around, especially if you've got a Mitch Owen, because a lot of us are going for those more ready-made players on the bench rather than the rookies, and you'll probably see it in cash generation from not having Short. Will be better off than having Short this year. And I believe as well, Short isn't coming in with an injury. There's a couple that have sort of been flagged around with injuries, but I believe everyone should be fine as of now for injuries coming into the year. Glenn Maxwell is the first guy on the list. 8 games in 24-25 for an average of 76.4, and he also in that time scored 297 runs with 125 bonus points through strike rates and 1 wicket, 0 economy rate bonus, and 13 catches. And then the season before that, 9 games, 83.8 average, 243 runs, 175 strike rate bonus, huge strike rate bonus there, 7 wickets, 45 economy rate bonus, and 34 dot balls. He's one that's done it every single year, it feels like, without trouble, except for this year that he just didn't play. In 22-23, that was the year where he had the golfing cart incident, I believe. Aside from that, the lowest he's actually gone that it's been recorded is 60, and you can just see his he just scores really well in general. As you can see, plays pretty much most of the games he's played, 17 games in the last 2 years, and scored pretty consistently. You can see the scoring breakdown as well, really consistent, which is really good. And you can just see where the points lie. Sub 31 points, he does still do it quite a fair bit, 30-40% of the time, but that means that as you can see in most other seasons, he's getting above 30-40 points very consistently, and that is a method of success, because you do have those big above 100 scores, and that's where Glenn Maxwell's going to thrive. We do know he's probably not going to have, well, he's probably going to have a decent enough role early on. Obviously, Webster left the Stars, and they do have no Curran for the first projected 5 rounds. Curran might, Curran will be back. The wrong Curran, brother. Sorry, I was thinking about that wrongly. But so he will probably not have the greatest role. Thinking about that, redo that whole segment there. So, look. 201k, are you going to start him? I think I'll trade into him. I trade in, hoping that in the first 2 rounds, like, he's got a break even of 76. So if you think about it, and I know this is well too simple maths, before his double in round 3, he's going to have 152 points of break even. Is he going to have gotten 150 points in the first 2 games against the likes of, who do they have to start? They've got the likes of Hobart and then also Adelaide. That'll be interesting. I don't know if he can do that. So, yeah, that may be a 1-2. I think I'll be on steering on the side of going against Glenn Maxwell, just because of that to start, and you can trade into him a lot easier. We will still need to have those big fishes like the Barbara Azams and guys like that, who you can trade onto other 150 plus, these big guys, when they start to get on the double, because that'll be critical. Jamie Overton, similar story with Matt Shaw, just don't want to talk to him because of the schedule. And then we get to Mitch Owen, which you'll probably hear me say quite a lot in the upcoming 3 weeks. He did cop an injury in the Shield and was ruled out of it. And I think that's why you did see the likes of Matt Kuhneman open the batting for some dumb reason yesterday, sorry. But yeah, he was taken out of the Shield game after having bowled 4 overs, none for 26. And yeah, as I said, Kuhneman opened the batting 21 off 53 on a road there. So a little bit of concern, but I don't think there will be too much there. But aside from that, Mitch Owen, 9 games, 73.1 average in 24-25, 308 runs, 145 strike rate bonus, 3 wickets, 10 economy rate bonus, and 8 catches. And then in 23-24, he basically did nothing because he was new, only 2 games there. So he's the one that you're basically going to lock as captain if he does actually end up playing. I think as he's going to bowl quite a lot more, I think, with the squad that the Hurricanes have got. And I think he'll be able to provide with the bat as well. He'll be playing the Sydney Thunder and the Melbourne Stars. He should be in decent enough form to do well there. But just a slight watch with his injury. Cooper Connolly, I did want to include, but they do have that round 4 double, which is slightly out of the scope. I probably could have included him. He's going to be a guy that we all just trade into. Everyone knows that, but I just decided against it. Sutherland would probably have been in the bowlers, but they have such a horrific schedule. Rizwan is a wicketkeeper. We went through him yesterday. And then we get to Babar Azam, who in 2025 in the PSL had 10 games for an average SuperCoach score of 40.3, 288 runs, 35 strike rate bonus, and 5 catches. And we've seen as well his international record across 24-25. He's averaged about 43 SuperCoach points per game in 28 games. So he does have a stunning record. We talked about Rizwan, the same, how their records just stand out and their international talents. There is a concern that he might struggle to adapt early, but there is the risk reward of just, taking him on, because if he goes large, then he'll be your ability to get to the likes of the 160. I don't think the Heat have anyone 150, 160k, but he'll be your easy avenue to a Chris Green, who will be also your easy avenue to the likes of a Glenn Maxwell in round 3, because that's what we're really looking at in round 3 is just getting to Maxwell. And how are you going to do it pretty cleanly? It is through a Babar Azam or someone of that nature and going up there. So yeah, he is outstanding. He's a guy that I think can do it we've said it countless times in the Sixers preview and others that he is a guy that can get on these runs where they just go and they score wildly. They score that 140, 150 SuperCoach points in 2 games. Even these games here, he still scored decently. Not outstanding, but still scored decently in those. And then you can see the PSL here where he goes on runs like this where he goes 68 off 42. Like, look at this run to start. Obviously, PSL different, but he went off in this tournament. BPL, he still went off in this one as well. If we get anything of this level of 15, like, look at this run to start. That is 204 runs off of 111, 135 balls. 204 runs off 135 balls in a 3-game span. If you get something like that, you are laughing. So yeah, if Babar Azam scores, if he has one score above 80 above about 60 in the 2 games that they have, the Sixers in the first round, then you're pretty much laughing because he'll have the 10 run bonus. Plus, he's going to have a plus 10, 15 strike rate bonus. So that already gets you into the 85, 90 category. And then you'd think as well, there's more potential for fielding bonuses alongside his other innings as well. So that's why I think he's actually a decent get, is because you'd back him in to have one of those knocks where he just goes off. Like that 41 off 24, that is a 66 already. This 104 off 59, that is a 124. That's probably a 149. Without any catches. So it just shows how valuable the likes of Babar Azam is. And yeah, he is going to be value, I think, this year, and a guy that I'll be looking at starting. I'm just fiddling around a little bit with options to see if I can get that extra Hobart Hurricane or Sydney Sixer into the lineup. Then we move swiftly over the likes of Sam Curran, just because he's not going to be here. We'll talk about him in length when he actually arrives. We don't know the exact arrival date. The ILT 20 finishes the round robins, I believe, on the 28th of December. Or 27th of December, and then they finish their actual tournament on the 4th of January, and that 4th of January is the final series. The final series has 4 out of the 6 teams, the top 4 out of the 6. So you'd expect most of the boys to probably make finals, which means that they would arrive in around if we just look here quickly at it, they arrive around about the round 5 fixture or round 6 fixture, which is in and around that Sydney double. So Sam Curran should be here for the Sydney double, but it might be touch and go for this Monday game here. So Sam Curran might be a little bit awkward and one to just track how his team goes when they are going through the season. But yeah, enough said on him. Then we move down to the likes of David Warner, who in 9 games last year averaged 56.8, 346 runs, 75 strike rate bonus, and 4 catches. He was on fire last year. Annoyance for me, because I sort of sided against him based on the fact that he was a batter only, probably opening me up to having more batters this year, or slightly more, taking a little bit more risk in that category. But the year before that, 2 games, 25 average, and 50. That was 50 runs and no strike rate bonus, I'm pretty sure. And then the year before that as well, he couldn't put it together as well. 73, 14.6. He's just not a guy that I think I'll be targeting, because I think you'll be targeting the Thunder all-rounders, because you'll be targeting the likes of a Chris Green. I think also you'll be looking at the likes of the Brisbane Heat attack and looking at their bowlers, because I think there'll be some value there, even though most of us will have Bartlett and Nessa there already. So I think you can look there for that attack there and look at them. You may also be looking at the cheapies like a McAndrew or someone like that as well there. So David Warner, not necessarily the guy I want to start, I would say, just because a batter on a single is not the greatest option. Then we do have a sort of a guy that I will be talking about, but we'll be talking about tomorrow in the bowler section in Chris Green. I do classify him more of a bowler than a batter, so that's why I've made that distinction there. Minus Labuschagne will be with the test squad, so no need to look through his stats. And then we get to Marcus Stoinis, who in 24-25 had 10 games, average of 55.1, 296 runs, 80 strike rate bonus, 4 wickets, 335 economy rate bonus, and 43 dot balls. And then in 23-24, 10 games, 38.5 average, 269 runs, 45 strike rate bonus, 1 wicket, no economy rate bonus, and 25 dot balls. As you can see, 24-25 increased workload with the extra 3 wickets and the 35 economy rate bonus, and that's mostly where his points came through with the ball. A little bit uptake in the bat with 30 odd runs more, and then the 35 strike rate bonus more. So there is most of his points there actually coming through that avenue, as he did go up by 17 points per game. I just don't see there being value, even though he's had really, really good run of form, as you can see, and done it in the past. I just can't see us picking him. You may pick him on the double in round 3, just because he's on the double, but I cannot see us picking him to start, just because I think he's actually maxed out at value. I don't think he goes above the 55. To be honest with you, I think this 96 season was a freak. And then when you look at it, that would be his second highest average outside of that outlier event there. So that's why I go against him. Then we get to Renshaw, who I started to, at this point, because I knew I didn't want the video to go on for forever, I started to think, are these batsmen going to be batting in a place in the order that isn't really optimal? And I would sort of disclude them. And that was Matt Renshaw. I don't think he bats high up the order. So I don't think he's a guy that will necessarily be of value. And also I think at 139k, I think he's maxed out anyway, Usman Khawaja will be with the test squad. I'm making that assumption, and I'm also making the assumption that Bo Webster will be at the test squad. It's most likely that one of them probably isn't with the test squad, because they'll replace the other, or Bo Webster will be released potentially. But I'm making the assumption for the sake of it that both of them will be, because I think there's also a fair chance that both of them will just stick there. Then we get to Nikhil Chowdhury, a guy that I've thought about quite a lot. And it all depends on Rashad Hussain and how he works out, because if Rashad Hussain is somehow just not there, gets injured, I really like Nikhil Chowdhury. But if the likes of Rashad Hussain is there, then I don't know if Chowdhury's in the best position. 9 games last year in 24-25 for an average of 48.1, 217 runs, 65 strike rate bonus, 4 wickets, 35 economy rate bonus, and 28 dot balls. 9 games in 23-24, 48.3 average, so very, very similar there to his 24-25 campaign. 154 runs, 50 strike rate bonus, 5 wickets, 45 economy rate bonus, 38 dot balls. So you can see he's awfully consistent, 48.3 and 48.1. And the thing about him is I just cannot pick exactly what role he's going to go into, and I don't like the sound of that at all. So he's one that I'm monitoring heavily. He's been in and out of the side alongside Tim David, alongside Hayden Kerr, alongside Philippi and Abbott. They're sort of interchanging there, trying to get the right mix, trying to get that extra player on field, that extra doubler on field, because if I can do that, then that will be very, very damaging, I feel like, in the long run. So yeah, if I can get that extra player, it will be optimal. I just need to find that extra combination there, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, I do think Tim David and Chowdhury are guys to talk about. I did actually include Tim David's stats in there as well. 9 games in 24-25 for an average of 46.9, 229 runs, 20 strike rate bonus. Sounds off, to be completely honest with you. Let me just double check that. That could be a stuff up on my part. 128 strike rate bonus sounds more optimal for him, and 3 catches. And then in 23-24, 10 games for a 24.5 average, 112 runs, 30 strike rate bonus, 1 wicket, 5 economy rate bonus, and 5 catches. His bowling role isn't going to be there, so he's going to be an exclusive batter, and priced at 47. Is he going to do that damage in the first 3 rounds? I think he could probably get on to 2 games where he goes off, and in those 2 games, he's probably going to combine for 120, 130 points at least. If not more, if he can get more with the bat, if he can get those 40, if he can get a 50 score in there and then a couple of other 20 scores, he's probably going to end up after 3 rounds, after 5 games, having 200 odd points, which will be up there in terms of scoring. And yeah, I think he's just a really good one that we can use here. And so I will probably be leaning on the side of grabbing him up, because at 120k as a batter, I think you just got to take those early games and just hope that he fires. So I think I've started to more lean into grabbing up a Tim David and grabbing up the Babar Azams and grabbing up the batters that play early, because those batters can do a lot more damage, and there's no real downside because there's not many other guys that you can select. If you can get that 11th player on the double early and still have the coverage in round 2, to then start to really move in round 3. Round 3 won't be the round 3 you'll be able to actually cover with the Hobart players still there. So you can probably go light on the round 3 doubler in the likes of the Melbourne Stars initially, probably only store 1 there. And so that's why I think you can actually go in with Chowdhury, go in with David, go in with Ahmed, and still have those 4 Sixers players and have maybe the 7 Hurricane players, and go in with 11 guys, and then still have the 2 or 3 Sydney Thunder players for their double alongside a Brisbane Heat guy. And that's the combination you can go down. I really like David's ability just to rack up the strike rate bonuses. I mean, out of his 420 odd points last year, about a quarter of them, or about 30% of them, came in the form of strike rate bonus. That's huge. And I think he can just get onto them. Like, as you can see here, a 103 here, a 97 here, a 68 here. Obviously isn't going to fire in some games, but when he does fire, if he goes on a run like this out of 5 games and scores 200 points, you're absolutely laughing. So yeah, it's just, I think he will do really well. And I do actually like him in that Sydney Thunder game against Hobart, and probably means that I'll be going against the Sydney Thunder bowlers and Sam's. I may pick Sam's just because he scores really well usually, but probably try and limit the Thunder players on field because that would be them playing against the team that you also have on field. But we'll talk about strategy later. Liam Scott, I kind of negated just because of that Adelaide schedule. Tom Alsop is a keeper. Mick Sweeney is a guy that I didn't negate out of my system. 8 games, average of 45.6 in 24-25, 209 runs, 45 strike rate bonus, 2 wickets, no economy rate bonus, and 6 catches. And in 23-24, 6 games, 31.7 average, 145 runs, 15 strike rate bonus, and 2 catches. He has been on fire recently in domestic cricket, if my memory serves. I'm pretty sure he's on about 40 not out as we speak for South Australia, 33 not. And he's done relatively well this season, if my memory serves me correct. I'm just trying to find the stats for him per se. Not actually in the top 20 for runs. That's surprising in the One Day Cup, but in the Shield as well. He is in, where is he now? He's not actually in the top run scorers in the Shield either. That's also slightly surprising, given that he's a decent player. But yeah, Henry Hunt and Jake Lehman are scoring runs. But anyway, he's just a quality player. Probably VC the Brisbane Heat next to the next player that we have in the list. And average of 45. I just can't see it with him. I feel like he's probably going to be that batter only that maybe gets an over, maybe 2 overs in different games. And I just don't like trading into those type of guys on the double. So he will be a guy that I just basically skip over, even though he's averaging mid-40s pretty relatively consistently. I just don't like batters, as we say, so pretty hard to go for him when he's got such a range and scope. Then we skip over Lynn because of the schedule. Carey's a keeper. And then we get to Colin Munro, who didn't know how to play cricket last year, basically. He averaged 7.7 from 6 games, 46 runs, no strike rate bonus and no catches. I don't know what he was doing. But then in 23-24, he remembered how to play cricket a couple of years ago. 7 games, 44.1 average and 224 runs, 35 strike rate bonus and 1 catch. So he's a guy, another one that 117k, another batter only that is tough to trade into these guys. They can be very, very damaging, but yeah, just tough to trade into him. I don't know exactly what his domestic form has been doing across the T20 leagues because I haven't really been following it, given that he's had such a tough run of form in the BBL in the past. And also we just know that batters tend to not score as well. So if you really are going to go for a batter, you want to go for them early. And just looking through his stats in the Abu Dhabi T10, he's gone 44, 38, not and 2. And then before that, he had 23 and 6 for T20s for Trinidad and Tobago. So he isn't in the greatest form, but he's still in somewhat of a form, better than what he was last year. But I just don't think that's going to be valuable. So that's why I'd skip over the likes of a Colin Munro. Then we get to Rian Ahmed. And this guy is special. And I believe, yes, Rian Ahmed is still on the list. I've considered him a batter because he bats 3 for his county. And in the Vitality Blast, 9 games, 72.2 average, 300 runs, and that's why I included him in the batter slot. 80 strike rate bonus, 8 wickets, 30 economy rate bonus, and 5 catches. You can see it in pretty much every T20 comp that he goes to. Yes, he's batting 3 or 4 in those comps compared to the 6 or 7 that we expect him to bat for the Canes, but he is a run scorer if he's fit. I know he's battling a quad or a hamstring injury from the England Lions game, but if he is fit, which everyone is projecting him to be, there's been multiple reports about that, I believe, then he should be fine. And he's just got that average that will blow you away. He's the international player that I really like this year and really liked in the past. Just hasn't been able to be at the right club to get a gig. And I think this is the right club for him. To be honest with you, I don't think he was going to get much of a go at the Sixers when he was there. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. And a guy that I just is basically been one of the more lockish players out of all of them in this squad so far. And then we get to Daniel Sam, skipping over Hussein because we'll talk about him in the bowlers section. Mac Wright is in that awkward batting 5, batting 6. Well, batting 4, 5, 6. He won't do as much, I don't think. So he's one that I've skipped over. And Mitchell Marsh, I've decided to skip over him because of that round 4 game double rather than in the first 3 rounds. So decided to skip over him to shorten this video slightly as we're already at 25 minutes. Daniel Hughes, skipped over him because as well, just don't really think he's going to bat 3, but I don't think he's going to be valuable. I think he's also at relatively full price. As you can see here, hasn't really gone over a season over 40, 45 points that consistently, mostly in the 20s. And then Shadab Khan will also be in the bowlers section. I've included him in that. So then we get all the way down to Daniel Sams. 4 games last year, 44.2 average, 60 runs, 25 strike rate bonus, 4 wickets, 15 economy rate bonus, 33 dot balls. In 23-24, 9 games, average of 55.1, 102 runs, 30 strike rate bonus, 12 wickets, 10 economy rate bonus, 53 dot balls. That is a mouthful because this guy is one of the best scorers in the BBL. When he is on, he just consistently scores. And if you actually look at it, that 5 games for 44.2, he, I think, had a 0 or something, or didn't score that well in one of the games there. So if we look at that, a 15. So if we take 15 out of that, of his total score, and divide that by 4, then that means that that is a 51.5, which is oddly roughly around what he's sort of been doing the last couple of years and could easily pick it up a little bit. So we are getting about a 7-point discount, given that, 7.3 point discount for him, which is huge. That's roughly what, 15k, 20k discount, I think. So yeah, just got to take it. And he's going to be ultra valuable, I think, early on in the season. Has that round 2 double, which is huge. And you can probably, he's one of the players that I'm more comfortable playing on a single. As I said, they do play the Hobart Hurricanes in round 1. So you would hope that he doesn't do too well, because obviously you want the Hurricanes to score well on their double. But yeah, he's just a guy that I really want on my side, and a guy that I'll probably be happy to hold the whole way through because he's one of the better players on a single, one of the more reliable scorers, if I do say so myself. If this would ever load, of course, whenever I try and do something, it decides to not load. You can actually see 40 odd performances below 31 points. But you can see a big portion of his scoring, he does have the ability to go large as well. So that is Daniel Sams. Now, I did also skip over the likes of Maxi Bryant, just in that awkward batting 5, batting 6, not really valuable, and has that round 3. So I believe round 3 double. So he still does sneak into that category, but under the premise that he's going to be batting down the order, can be in a little bit of a hole there. So next guy up is Jack Edwards. 8 games, 43.1 average, 83 runs, 30 strike rate bonus, 6 wickets, 30 economy rate bonus, 63 dot balls in 24-25. And then in 23-24, 9 games, average 46.2. He had 84 runs, 25 strike rate bonus, 9 wickets, 55 economy rate bonus, and 53 dot balls. Awfully consistent year on year. And I think this is when he takes it to the next level. I still think he bats 6. And so he probably won't have the biggest uptake in runs, but I think he will be able to really take those polls at a really alarming pace this year. I really do rate him, and I think he's one that at 113k, I think he can push up in towards that sort of 55 average, I would say. Rather than the 40 odd that he's gone at the last couple of years. I think he'll be able to push up that next level, and that's why I think Jack Edwards is ultra value this year, especially with that round 1 double. So that's why he's one that I'm really advocating of. Then we start to slow down a little bit in terms of who's left. We did talk about Billings in the keeper spot. We did talk about Philippi in the keeper spot. We did talk about, well, we haven't talked about Fanning, but I don't even know if he'll play. And then we get Tom Curran, going to talk about him in the bowler slot, consider him more of a bowler than a batter. Ashton Turner, round 4 double, take him off. Pearson's a keeper, Seifert's a keeper, Inglis is a keeper. Then we get down to Sam Constas, who in last year, in the limited time he had, he had 5 games for a 38.4, 122 runs, 30 strike rate bonus, and 2 catches as well. So he's one that will probably score relatively well. But at 101k for a solo batter, I don't know if I can go there. Would really have to see some form in round 1 to want to go there at his price point, because I feel like there's going to be a cheapie out there that you want, and you'd rather go a cheapie and those really expensive ones, 40k guys, rather than going for Sammy Conscious and really sort of leaking a little bit or putting a little bit more cash into him when you really are probably going to get the same value out of McAndrew in the bowler category. So that's why I'm a little bit lower on Sammy Conscious compared to most. I know he's in currently not too many sides, I'd hope, but we'll see about how he's, I guess, ownership for him, but in due course. But one that would rather have a look at first. Then we get to Hayden Kerr. I'm going to talk about him in the bowlers section as well. Henriquez going to bat 4, but not really going to be value, I don't think. Matty Wade's a keeper. Alex Ross, I don't even have him projected playing, so we can skip over him, but he has that round 7 double, so you can negate him. Hilton Cartwright, probably going to bat 6. You can negate him even from the discussion. Michael Nisa, consider him a bowler, or majority bowler, so that's why I'm skipping over him. Caleb Jewell, Josh Brown, both have that later double, so going to skip over them. Finn Allen, keeper. Jake Weatherald, batting, so for Australia, so skip over him. Laurie Evans, skip over him as well. Round 4 double and batting sort of 6. Bancroft, keeper. McDermott, keeper. Hassan Khan as well, another guy that would have talked about in the bowler spot, but he is that round 7 double, or round 8 double, so it doesn't matter. Jason Sanger, round 7 double, so it doesn't matter. And then we get to the last guy on the list. There's no other guys below him, although I'll filter through them. Aaron Hardy, he averaged in 24, 25, 7 games, 31 average, 102 points from runs, and then 55 strike rate bonus and 6 catches. And then the year before that, 10 games, average of 46.2, 292 runs with the bat, 110 strike rate bonus and 3 catches. You will notice no bowling statistics in the last 2 years. And this is one of the bigger upsides with Hardy, is that for some reason that he hasn't bowled. For some reason he hasn't bowled when in 22, 23, he had 400 runs and 3 wickets. So that's one of the big upsides for him, is that he basically hasn't bowled, I don't think, in its entirety. So that's a massive upside for him. 74k. If he comes back with any form of competency, he is going to be a guy that just averages a bucket load more than what he did. He's done 57 and 60 in the past, and we've seen him bowling in the Shield and the One Day Cup. So a guy that I really, really do like this year to sit on the bench. He will be your valuable play in round 4. One of your first and probably your only guys in round 4 that you have on the double, considering that on the double in round 4, I believe, is just Perth. Let's just double check that for sake here. Yep, Perth is the only double in round 4. And so you'll probably stack up to 5 doublers in that round. You'll have 1 or 2 from the Stars anyway. Then you'll double up there to get up to probably 5 or 6 in that round. So you can see how it starts to flow on. But Hardy's going to be your piece there to get to that. I really like him. He's just a sort of auto pick, as you'd rather Hardy go off and go with the crowd there, because everyone's going Hardy, as my thing is legitimately breaking on me because SuperCoach is annoying. I don't know why they somehow always seem to break down about this time when you're trying to record a video. But yeah, I really like Hardy, and so he's a guy to consider now as well. We get to the back end of things. Fraser McGurk, late double, don't need him. Gilt, probably not going to play, but keeper. Clark's a keeper. Harper's keeper. Hobson batting 6, doesn't matter. Silk batting 5, probably won't matter. Don't know if Joel is even going to get a game. And then you have Mackenzie Harvey, Tom Kelly, Harry Nielsen, Weepkin. These guys down the bottom, if they're not a keeper and they're just exclusively a batter, These guys are rookies. I'd rather wait a game and watch them out and pick on the guys like a Nisa or a Hardy or someone like a Tom Curran even for that sake, and go those guys because there's so much value in that 70 to 95k range rather than trying to pick on that rookie that's going to explode. I'd rather get a game in, see their low break even, and then go for them rather than missing out on a crowd favorite in the likes of a Nisa, Hardy. Even guys like a McAndrews probably going to be more value than these guys down here. Even guys like a Swepson are going to be more value. But yeah, you just got so much value in that 17 to 95k range that are not on the early double. And then you've got so much value in that 100 to 120k range, 130k range that are on the double in round one. So you're just going to go there in those categories. But anyway, that is the video there for the batters in BBL SuperCoach for 25-26. I hope you guys enjoyed that preview. If you did, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on, and I will see you guys in the next video, which will be the bowlers for BBL SuperCoach. So I'll see you guys then. Bye, guys.